Welcome to this Wellspring Wednesday chapel service on the day before Thanksgiving. When I was a kid, we said grace before almost every meal. We even said it in restaurants sometimes. Now as a kid, I always wanted to do our short version, and our short version was 5 seconds long and let us get to the food. But my dad always favored the long version. In the long version, my family would even sing. And since we were all singers, we would harmonize and we would sing loud and we would hold the notes to make them just as long as possible. Be present at our table, Lord, be here and everywhere adored. These mercies bless and grant that we may strengthen for thy service be. Amen. It was so long. In these days, I think it's time for the long version. It's time for us to take that time to give thanks, to be together, to worship together. Come, let us worship together. Please light a chalice at home if you have one, and sing with us Amazing Grace.
Find Amazing Grace on 205 in the Great Hymnal. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. That taught my heart to fear and raised my fears relieved. How precious is that grace of me, the hour I first believed.
Each week, we ask Unity families to share their joys and sorrows, concerns, blessing, gifts, and challenges with us over email, so that we can bring the real stories of our lives into this place, so we can celebrate together, give each other support, and hold each other in our love. This week, we asked families involved in coming of age to share what is on their hearts and minds in this season of gratitude. A sorrow from the Brazelton family, Paul, Desiree, Amelie, Penelope, and Madeline. We aren't spending Thanksgiving with our family, and we are thinking about those who will be alone for this holiday. Big, joyful news from Amalia Centurion, owl teacher. The biggest joy of 2020 is I got engaged to my boyfriend, Nathan, on our 3-year anniversary. From coming-of-age mentor Stu Elger, a joy. Last weekend, Patricia and I went canoeing around Gray Cloud Island on the Mississippi. A joy and gratitude from the mighty Quinn Hendel. I am really thankful and glad for all the friends I've been able to make, especially through theater for the past 6 months. I have gotten closer with them than a lot of the people that I've known for years at school. And, he adds, to all, have an awesome Thanksgiving week. From Peggy Lynn. Grateful that my dad and Ellie, Hattie, and Josie's poppy, Bill Gray, will complete his radiation treatment this week, and for the many Unity members and friends who have offered him encouragement and support along the way. From Teresa Nelson, along with Justine, Margaret, and Gus, the joy, my family has tested negative. A sorrow for all of the winter activities that cannot be done remotely and have been postponed. A joy, I work at a hospital and I am very proud of everyone that I work with for showing up and doing their jobs no matter what. Another joy is I am proud of my kids for their ongoing positive attitudes. From Brian, Amy, Murphy, Hal, and Callie Kajowski. A joy, alien tag. In the pitch black basement, everyone hides. One person is the alien from the movie. And it is amazingly terrifying and so much fun. Our sorrow is missing our friends and our family. From Susan, Kim, Sierra, and Aurora Hinsey. A joy in honor of my friend Catherine. It is her 55th birthday today. But the sorrow is that she passed away this summer. And her directive to her friends and family, seize joy wherever you can. From COA mentor Kathy Wallace, my sorrow, loss of a generous, thoughtful, and talented colleague and fellow architect, Lars Peterson. Sorrow for the losses everywhere due to the coronavirus, including disruptions to the education of all of our young people. A joy having the creative, lively energy of our daughter home with us this fall. And gratitude to the insights, commitments, and persistence of the coming-of-age leaders, families, and the agers. Join me in prayer. Breathe deep. Holy One, for all of these offerings, we give thanks. Thank you for our families, for the games we play, for our friends, for all the people who have had such impacts on our lives, for the bounties of this beautiful world, for our abilities to be resourceful and to find ways to connect and find joy. Let us remember all of this in our hearts, with our hearts full, with everything that we don't have this Thanksgiving. And still, so much there is we do have, and that we share it together. Amen.
Amen.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
William Bradford was a Puritan separatist who fled persecution in England and eventually boarded the Mayflower, which sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and landed on what we know as Plymouth Harbor. William Bradford became the governor of what they called Plymouth Colony. And we know from his journals that indigenous chief of the Wampanoag tribe, Massasoit, helped Plymouth Colony learn how to grow crops and prepare themselves for the winter. William Bradford and Chief Massasoit also created an agreement of mutual defense, which meant that if either the Wampanoag tribe or the Plymouth Colony came under attack by outside groups, they would come to one another's aid and help defend the other's community. Now, one fall day in 1621, Plymouth Colony was celebrating their Puritan tradition of Thanksgiving. They were praying and fasting and cooking, preparing to break their fast with a gigantic feast. And right before the celebrations began, someone pulled out their gun and shot up into the air, boom, boom, boom! Now, from far off, Chief Massasoit heard the shots and feared that Plymouth Colony was under attack. And so he gathered up 90 warriors and they rode to Plymouth Colony, but when they got there, they realized they were mistaken. People were singing and eating, and their celebrations abound. William Bradford invited Massasoit and his warriors to come join in the festivities as a recognition of his gratitude of their agreement for mutual defense. Now, Massasoit, knowing that adding 90 additional people to a Thanksgiving dinner was a lot without bringing anything with them like food, sent out 5 men who brought back 5 whole deer, and together Plymouth Colony and these warriors feasted for 3 whole days. Now, this is the story of the first Thanksgiving as the Wampanoag historians tell it at Plymouth Colony today, that the United States has reinterpreted as the story of the first Thanksgiving. However, we know that across different religions and cultures all around the world, Thanksgivings have been practiced long before the 1600s and continue to be practiced in various ways today. For example, traditionally the Wampanoag people celebrate a strawberry Thanksgiving in the summer, which always makes me think of a giant strawberry as big as a turkey. We also know a sad and horrific part of our history is that Thanksgivings have been held after massacres like the Pequot Massacre of indigenous folks of this land. We also know that Abraham Lincoln created Thanksgiving as we know it today as a United States national holiday in an attempt to bring people together and strengthen the union of this country. Thanksgiving has a complicated history. There are aspects of it that are heartwarming and inspiring and speak to our Unitarian Universalist values of religious freedom and coming together across differences. And there are also parts that are heartbreaking and horrific, grief-filled, that we still don't know exactly how to be with well. But perhaps this grief and gratitude, mixing and swirling, this ambiguity is what the practice of Thanksgiving still has to teach us today. Amen.
Thank you, Ray. So let us sing Sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
I'll sing it through twice.
Wonderful. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary. Thanksgiving, in this time of pandemic and increased polarization in our country and around the world? How do we challenge our own righteousness? How do we practice the values we hold dear? How do we welcome grief and gratitude within our hearts, within our families, within our communities and congregations, among our friends, and out beyond our borders, religiously, geographically, politically? How do we practice Thanksgiving this year? How do we live into the golden rule? Treat one another as we would like to be treated. And one of the highest commandments, love your neighbor as yourself. So be it, see to it. Happy Thanksgiving, and amen.